So, good evening, everyone. Today we have the pleasure to welcome Paola Ratava from the city of Oulu, and she will present about the climate badges for repairing the schools. So, Paola, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening to you all. I hope you're feeling fine. And I come from city of Oulu, as Eric said, and I want to thank you, Eric, for this invite.
Thank you.
And I also want to thank you for the help when we made these badges 2 years ago. It was a great help then, but now these are ready, and I'm here to present you our climate badges. So I work in the educational and cultural services of Oulu. And as you can see here in Oulu, we have a nice winter day. It's almost like this photo is taken today, but we have now a lot more snow on the ice of the Baltic Sea. This is here. It's about 200 meters from my home, this view. So climate badges. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the background, why we made these climate badges, then about our repair manual for schools, and more in detail our badges, and then some examples from schools that already use these badges, and then some conclusions. And if you have questions, you can ask if you want, or send me email later. So before we go to the backgrounds of these climate badges, let's tune into this climate theme with the help of some questions. You don't have to answer to these questions, but you can think about them in your organization or in your school. So how many technological gadgets do we really need in our schools? What can we eat in a carbon neutral school? Do you see signs of a changing world in your school? Is it fair to fly on a school trip? Is the climate action in your school effective? Is it really working? What's your personal climate superpower? And what's your school community's superpower? Is it allowed to talk about climate change in your school or in your organization? Do you even know where the energy comes to your school? And who has the most responsibility in your school in climate issues? So there are some questions we have in our badges. So you can think about these, but we will go more in detail later. Okay, so who are we? Who have made these climate badges? So I'm a teacher in biology, geography and languages, but also environmental educator and specialist. And here in Oulu, I work as an advisory teacher. So I make materials, I teach teachers and so on. And I'm also a project coordinator in our newest projects. I work with Vilma and Jussi. Jussi has been like 20 years in the city of Oulu to develop all this teaching for sustainability. And Vilma has started just this summer with us. In 2019, 2021, during the pandemic years, we have made this repair manual for schools that we have in this photo. So Miika and Inka were there to make this manual with me. And our goal is to raise and educate eco-social individuals who want to create a sustainable future for themselves, for others, and for the whole planet. So we want to promote planetary well-being. I don't know if you've heard this this word, but planetary well-being means that we live in the boundaries of this planet and take care of us as humans, but also of the other species. So we've had a few projects here. This project that lasted from 2021 to 22 is the project where we made these badges. So we have this repair manual for schools that I will show you later. We have this roadmap for schools where they plan how to be carbon neutral, and a calculator for schools. And we use badges in all of these three themes. And now we have a larger project where we also have nature and circular economy, and of course climate too. And all these projects are funded by the National Agency for Education of Finland and the city of Oulu. So a few words why we decided to make these climate badges and have these climate projects. So we heard about these studies that show that young people are very anxious about climate. They feel sad and bad about these things. So we wanted to them feel more hopeful and empowered to do climate action. And also we felt that many schools don't know where the emissions come from and how are the schools doing in climate action. So we wanted the students and teachers make a research in their schools. How are things going on there? And we also think that in media and in school books, it's too much concentrating on the individual actions at home. It feels bad you feel too guilty about things in your home. So we wanted to concentrate on the school community. What can we do in schools? Not just staring at our own actions at home or trying to save the whole world. So instead of global or individual action, we want to concentrate on the community level. And I love this citate of Panu Pihkala, Hicks and Orr. So realistic hope is that even though we know that the things are very hard in this world at the moment, we still see the light. We know that we can still make an influence in this world. So that's realistic hope. And that's on the background of our badges and all that we do. And as the Finnish National Agency for Education has said, sustainable development is one of the most important competence in the future working life. So it's not just for fun that we're learning these things. So the repair manual for schools concentrates on solutions and realistic hope. And we want the students and the teachers to find their own strengths and their own role in climate action with the help of these badges we have. So we all have our different road, different way to the sustainable future. And it's important to remember that climate action doesn't mean that our life is somehow worse than before, but it brings us well-being when we act according to our values. And as I said, the community is a great way to practice these skills. It's the most empowering level of action. And we can think the schools as the force to change the society and not just waiting that something comes from up above, but we can try to change the world. And also for the young people, we try to say that the future isn't locked, but we can change it. We can build the future ourselves. So we have a lot of badges that look into the future. Okay, so we've chopped this vast global issue in smaller pieces, with these badges. We have exercises or badges, and we have some background information. And all this is supporting the new curricula in Finland that has been taken into the teaching 2 years ago. And we want to promote this more holistic approach to climate education, because many times, at least in Finland, in every subject we start from the beginning. We always start, what is the greenhouse gas effect, and always from the same. So with these badges, we want to make it possible for every subject to teach about climate in different angles, different ways. So the students don't feel bored, but it's every time it's the same. So we can teach about climate in different ways and together with other subjects. Okay, so there was some background why we made these badges and why we have these projects. But then what is the repair manual for schools? If you want to, you can take a photo of this code and check out the page we have. So it's a pedagogical online environment for reaching carbon neutrality in schools. And it's a manual for helping the schools in climate action, and also for recognizing and acquiring climate know-how as an individual or as a community. And the manual includes 42 exercises or badges for students, and they are made in Open Badge Factory. And also 4 badges for the whole school community. So they are organization badges. And we also have this calculator for schools, how we can calculate the carbon footprint of the whole school, and a guide, 100-page guide for schools. These are so far only in Finnish, but we hope we will have someone to translate these. So the 42 exercises and badges are in the form of this play, and there is a road you can follow to get all the badges. This circle here is of this calculator. So when you calculate all the emissions from your school, you get this circle where you have all the sectors like energy, food, and recycling. Then we have the badges for school communities. So this is a photo from the website. And here in the right corner, we have this roadmap for schools. So this is the final result when the school has estimated emissions and decided what climate action they will do. So in the end, they will have this picture where they can put all the different actions they're going to do. So in all of these badges, we have these 4 themes. So we have the food, school transport, school infrastructure, and school attitude. And we don't talk in these badges about what is climate change. No, we talk about how do we see it in schools and how can we have less emissions from schools. So food, transport, and infrastructure, I think that's quite clear what we have in these themes. So where do the emissions come from? How can we influence in them? But maybe attitude is more difficult. So there we have themes like, what is climate justice in schools? Are there luxury emissions in some schools? What is the school's mission? What responsibilities are there in schools? Does the principal have all the responsibilities? What can students do? Then we have emotions and needs. We many times forget these emotions and needs behind when we talk with people. So it's important to remember that many times emotions prevent us from doing the right thing. We're so afraid or so scared of climate change that we're not able to do anything. So it's important to talk about these things too. Then constructive dialogue. So we have this, we have one exercise of how can we have a constructive dialogue in schools about climate. And then in every theme we have exercises where we try to learn from the past and look at the different futures we could have. So in this photo, you can see all these 42 badges we have. And first we have some introduction badges, 1 and 2. Then we have 8 badges of school food. We have 8 badges from school transport, 8 badges from infrastructure, and the last 11 are of this attitude themes. And in every theme, we have this assembling badge where we think about the whole food system in our school. What have we learned about these 8 badges that we have made? So there are some gamification in this our badge system. So these badges, one of the badges has questions, right or wrong, but it's easy to make. You can just answer these questions. Then we have these history and vision exercises. We have badges where we calculate emissions from school trips or our school journey. We have badges where we compare schools. We have very different schools even in Finland. Some of them are in the middle of nowhere, some of them are in cities. So there are different kind of climate action we can do in different schools. And in all these themes, we have also badges where we brainstorm ideas, how could we do climate action in our school, and then to implement these actions. Yeah, then the climate badges, what are they? More in detail. So here in Finland, these are quite a new way to show your know-how in upper secondary schools. But we're hoping that this will be more common in Finland too. So the students can make these badges and then use them in applications for work or for school. And as I told previously, it's a very important skill in future and in all sectors. Why we made this in this form of a play, it's because we've learned that gamification can help in motivation also for those who don't like climate issues normally. And that's also the reason why we have this car here. So it's not always just some cute animals like many times in these themes. So for the school communities, we want that there would be more cooperation in schools, that people would make these decisions together. Principal and teachers and students and all the other staff that there is in schools. And with these badges, the schools can show their commitment also in their city strategies or in global goals for sustainability. And I think this is important then when the school shows that we have done this badge, it gives hope for the youth that adults are really taking seriously these climate issues. So what the students do, they will get to know to the theme, to the exercise. And if they have already done something, like they have been working in some place where they already have some know-how about climate, or they have been in some kind of organization about climate, they can show their know-how and just fill the application and get the climate badge. But if they haven't done anything before, they can just use our exercises in the Open Badge Factory. For teachers, they can use these exercises in their lessons, or they can give them as homework, or use it for different kind of projects in schools. And the teachers can approve these climate badge applications for individual students, or they can approve them for the whole class at the same time. And the teachers and the students can, of course, if they have some great ideas, they can tell them to the principal, and if there is a roadmap work group in the school, they can tell these ideas to them. So there are some photos of our badges. So there is this vision badge where the school makes a vision for 2030, how their school is going to be climate neutral in 7 years. And the current state means that the school will calculate their emissions from different sectors, or they will just estimate it if they don't have the time to calculate it very well. Then the third one is routes. That means the climate action they will do to get to the vision. And the last one is the roadmap. So that's kind of gathering all the work they have been doing to get these 3 first batches. So after these 4 batches, the school has a roadmap how they will get to carbon neutrality in their school. And there's a bigger picture of this roadmap picture we have. So the idea is that the school can fill in these papers, what they will do in 2024 and 2026. And they have this vision towards what they are going. And all these are badges. Okay, so as I said, we don't have all these materials in English yet. The website is in English. We have a list of all our badges in English, but we haven't translated all the exercises yet. But we hope that we will have some cooperation with someone to do this. We've changed a bit these Finnish pages, so they are a bit different from the English website. In Finnish website, we have now this search engine, so it's easier for teachers to find right exercises for their own subject. So they can choose like history or languages, and they will have just those exercises that are good for that subject. They can also choose the difficulty of the exercises. They can choose the need for the exercise. If they are looking for homework, they can just cross that. And the last is a theme, so they can search like just the food exercises if they want. But we hope that we will get this in English too, as soon as possible. Okay, so there were the climate badges in general. And then I will show you some examples of our schools. So we have had 6 pilot schools to test our badges. First, we have Haukiputaan Lukio, which is here in Oulu. And they have been testing these climate badges for students. They have decided that they will do 1 climate badge in every school subject. in year. So in 3 years, students will have a wide understanding of climate issues in school. And also they are making this roadmap. At the moment, they have made the vision and also calculated their food carbon footprint and transport. And we have also had some workshops in there. So Haukiputaan lukio has made a lot of batches so far. Then we have the Laanilan lukio, which is also in Oulu, and these photos that you see in this presentation are taken in Laanila. So they have also made this school community batches. So we had some nice workshops where we visioned the future. What will Laanila school be in 2030? We had students and teachers and the principal there. They have been also counting the emissions from their school, and we've had workshops about climate emotions and climate action, and the students have had batches from these workshops. Then Kuusamo, which is in more eastern part from Oulu, about 2-3 hours from Oulu. So there we have had a course for students, so they are making together these batches in classes. So that has been nice. And they have been investigating the school in how is their school doing in climate action. And also they are doing this roadmap there. So they have made a questionnaire about the vision of their school. Then Raudaskylä school is 1 hour from Oulu. And they have also been doing this roadmap. We had a workshop where we had the whole school, and we have this constructive dialogue with the whole school. It was very nice. It's a quite small school, so we could do that. So we have this timeout dialogue. You can Google that. It's very good way to have a dialogue where everyone can say their opinion, and the point is to widen the understanding of different people. So this timeout dialogue is something we've been trying to teach the teachers and principals. It's a good way to talk about these hard, difficult themes like climate. So we also have one batch about this timeout dialogue. Then E, which is famous for their climate action as a commune. Their upper secondary school is also testing our batches, and we have had some workshops there where we think with teachers how is their school doing at the moment, and then they will get the batch of that. And the last one is here in Oulu. It's a long name. So they are also doing these community batches there, and we've had there also some workshops for teacher and for students. There were some examples of the schools, but then a few batches here in a little bit more detail. So for example, this food batch number 5 is where you calculate how much carbon emissions are there in 3 of your school's lunches. So you compare these 3 different meals. And if you have already done this kind of exercise in your school, you can just apply for the batch. But if you haven't done it, then you can make the exercise that we have created. And this can be used as a pair or group work. Or you can just go to the school canteen investigate the school canteen. How are they doing in climate issues? Then the batch number 14 is about school commuting. How do you go to school? How do the other students go to school? So we compare different ways of going to school, and we will also learn the scale of emissions. If one student goes to school by bike, but if it's different than if 1,000 students go to school by bike. So we compare the emissions from different ways. Number 24 is called purchase minimum for the class. So there the idea is to count how many gadgets, furniture, other stuff are there in your class. And then you choose 3 of these things and try to estimate how much is it really used? Is it really necessary? How much energy does it consume? And how is it recycled, for example? And so we try to find out, is everything that we have in school really necessary? And then last example is about this dialogue, this timeout dialogue that I told you about. So they will try to make an example of this dialogue in their school. What could be the good subject for the dialogue in their school? And this can be just an exercise that they write dialogues in the paper, or they will really have this conversation in their school. And then, as I said, we have different kind of badges, but in all of these 3 teams, food, transport, and infrastructure, we always have in the end these badges where the students will brainstorm climate action that he or she would really want to do in their school, and then they choose one of these actions that they will really do in the school. So in the end, we will have some plans of climate action that anyone can use in the school, because they will make these climate action plans in batches number 9 and 10 about food, in 18 and 19 about transport, and in 27 and 28 about infrastructure. So in the end, they will have a plan of climate action of all these themes. And in the end, on the batch number 38, they will implement one of these actions. And all the others will be available for everyone to use in the school. Okay. There were examples of our badges. And in the end, what kind of feedback have we had? And where have we succeeded, and what challenges do we still have? So with the young people and also teachers have recognized what are their strengths and skills, and they've learned that they don't have to be perfect to be able to do climate action, but they can choose their own way to get to the sustainable future. They've learned to find the nearest community where they can do climate action. If the school isn't the right one to do, then maybe their football club or some other hobby they have, they can do the climate action there. They've understand better the complexity and the scale of climate issues. Many times we talk about recycling in schools and think that that's the most important thing that we can do. But for climate, it's just a few percents of the emissions of schools. So we should more concentrate on energy and the origin of food, and how do we go to school instead of recycling. Then we hope that they have understand that they are an important part of wider processes. So it has been hard to make these batches because we know that in 45 minutes you cannot change the world, but you can be a part of something. You can start something, and some other people may continue that. Then for the teachers, they have also understood that we can teach climate issues in different ways, in mathematics, in biology, in physics, in physical sports. We can do different things in different subjects. And in the end, we try to tell every time we go to workshops that the climate-friendly life is also bringing us more well-being, and we've had feedback from that too. And then some challenges. So as I said, using these badges in job or school applications isn't very common yet, but we're trying to. We've had many meetings with universities that could they give the students credits when they have made these badges in upper secondary schools. So that's something we're working on. Upper secondary school students and teachers are very busy, and it's been quite hard for them to start with new systems like Open Badge Factory. So they many times prefer using just these exercises and not making the badges. But still we have 599 badges already used, but all of them, only 10% have taken the badge for them. Then when we made these badges, it was the first pandemic year, so we made all these badges to be used mostly online. But now, when it's possible to meet live, maybe we will adjust these badges to be more fun and more and to be made in groups and not just online. And then the last ones, the school communities need a lot our help for organizing these workshops. It seems that it's hard to do these things because they feel that they don't know enough about climate issues. So many times they do things when we go to the schools in person. So it's easier for them. Okay, in summary, when students, teachers, and school communities are making these exercises and acquire these badges, at the same time, they repair their teaching, their structures in school, their management, and the school culture. How are things done in their school? So all these work together. And what we're doing next in Oulu, we won't talk about climate only, but we will also have this nature education more and more in our exercises and everything we do, and also circular economy. So we have this new model that we will start to implement in Oulu, and maybe later we will have also some nature badges and circular economy badges, and badges for teachers too. So a lot of plans for the future. If you're interested in our backgrounds or the theories we have behind, here are some links. I can send this presentation to you if you want. And you can find the repair manual for schools from that address. But I could end my presentation to this question. How could you strengthen the sources of climate hope in your school or your organization? Could it be climate badges or something else? But it's important to have hope in life, especially in these themes. Okay, thank you. Do you have any questions?